Nathan Carter had always been a man of logic, a textbook Aquarius, detached, unpredictable, constantly in search of something bigger than himself. Emotions? He analyzed them like a scientist studying an unfamiliar specimen, always keeping them at arm's length. Scarlett Hayes, on the other hand, felt everything. A true Scorpio, she lived with intensity, loved deeply, and had no patience for half-hearted connections. She didn't just fall, she plunged into love, unafraid of the fire that could burn her. And that was the problem, because Nathan was the kind of man who feared getting too close. And Scarlett? She was the kind of woman who wouldn't settle for anything less than everything. They met in the most unremarkable way, at a gallery downtown, surrounded by strangers murmuring pretentious opinions about art. Nathan hadn't even wanted to be there. Scarlett had. She stood in front of a painting that looked like a storm trapped in a frame, dark blues and violent reds crashing together like something on the verge of destruction. "It looks alive." Her voice was smooth, certain. Nathan, standing beside her, barely glanced at the painting before saying, "Or it's just paint on a canvas." She turned, brow arching. "Is that what you do? Reduce things down to their simplest form?" He smirked, taking a sip of his whiskey. "Sometimes things aren't that deep." Scarlett studied him for a moment, as if peeling back layers he didn't know he had. "And sometimes they are." That was the beginning. Nathan wasn't sure if he found her intriguing or exhausting. Scarlett had this way of looking at people like she already knew their secrets, like she was waiting for them to admit something they weren't ready to say. He told himself she was just another interesting person he'd meet and forget. He had no idea how wrong he was. Their first date was accidental, or at least that's what Nathan told himself. They ran into each other again, this time at a bookshop, where Scarlett was thumbing through a worn-out copy of Wuthering Heights. He made a sarcastic comment about tragic love stories, and she challenged him to a debate over coffee. He told himself he went because he liked a good argument. But the truth? He liked her. Over the next few weeks, they kept finding reasons to see each other. Late-night conversations about life and the universe, heated debates over philosophy, passionate nights where neither of them wanted to be the first to let go. Scarlett was a storm, beautiful, consuming, impossible to ignore. Nathan was the wind, always moving, always shifting, never staying in one place too long. And yet, every time he left, he found himself coming back. Until one day, Scarlett finally asked, "What are we doing, Nathan?" He had no answer. Scarlett knew something was off from the start. Nathan never let her too close. He never shared too much. When they were together, it was electric, undeniable chemistry, laughter, endless conversation. But the moment things got real, he pulled away. A pattern. She noticed how he never made promises, how he hesitated before saying anything that felt too significant, how he changed the subject when she talked about the future. One night, as they lay tangled in her sheets, she traced lazy circles on his arm and whispered, "You're going to leave, aren't you?" Nathan stiffened. "Why would you say that?" Scarlett smiled, small, sad. "Because you're already planning your escape." Nathan exhaled, staring at the ceiling. "I don't do relationships." A beat of silence, then softly, "Then what are we?" She didn't expect an answer, and he didn't give her one. The first time Scarlett told Nathan she loved him, it wasn't dramatic, no grand speech, no expectations, just a simple, quiet moment. They were in her apartment, the glow of the city outside painting shadows on the walls. He had just finished telling her about some ridiculous conspiracy theory he didn't even believe in, and she was laughing, shaking her head. Then out of nowhere, "I love you." Nathan froze. Scarlett didn't take it back. She didn't look away. She just waited. His heartbeat was too loud in his ears. The words sat on the tip of his tongue, but they felt too big, too final. So he said nothing. And that silence, that was the moment he lost her. Scarlett didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just nodded, as if she had finally gotten the answer she had been looking for. And that was the worst part, because she had always known how this would end. Days passed, then weeks. Nathan told himself he had done the right thing. He wasn't meant for love, wasn't built for commitment. Scarlett would be better off. But then he saw her, at a coffee shop sitting by the window, smiling at something on her phone. And the realization hit him like a train. She wasn't waiting for him. She wasn't hurting anymore. She had moved on. And for the first time, Nathan understood. Scarlett had never needed him. She had wanted him, and he had let her go. That night, he found himself outside her apartment, heart pounding, hands shaking. Scarlett opened the door, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Nathan, just his name. Simple, steady. I don't want to lose you. The words spilled out before he could stop them. She didn't react, just tilted her head slightly. And? Nathan swallowed hard. He had spent his whole life running from attachment, from vulnerability. But standing here, looking at the only woman who had ever really seen him, he realized something terrifying. Loving Scarlett had never been the risk. Losing her was. His voice was raw when he finally spoke. And I love you. Scarlett didn't move, didn't speak. Then, slowly, carefully, she stepped aside, leaving the door open. An invitation, a chance. Nathan walked inside, and this time, he stayed.